You're listening to the Franchise Freedom Podcast with Giuseppe Grammatico.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, the show where we help corporate executives experience time and financial freedom via franchising. And very excited for the show today. We're continuing with the series and answering the questions that we get on a daily basis so that you are informed to the best of your knowledge. And just love to share this. And I love to share these shows with candidates that we work together with. So the title of today's show is Service Franchises versus Retail Franchises. Very common question, very common conversation that we have. And really what we're looking to kind of differentiate today is when we talk about service franchises, we're talking about franchises that can be home-based, run from home, maybe require a small office, but really not necessarily needed, at least to start. And retail franchises, we're going to categorize that in the brick and mortar. It may be within a shopping center or it may be a standalone building, kind of like a McDonald's. So that's the topic for today. We're going to cover three areas and I'm going to dive right in. So we're not going to talk about which is better because this is all about the right match, which you prefer. So I like to talk about the characteristics so that once armed with this information, then you can decide which may or may not be a good fit for you, or which is a better fit, I should say. And the first area is investment. Now, common sense, right? Brick and mortar, retail, it's going to be a larger investment. And, each franchise, it's going to vary based off the brand, the franchise itself, the area that you're located, the size, of the footprint. So maybe the footprint is 6,000 as opposed to 7,000, which is kind of the average across the system. So there's going to be some variances, and you're going to speak with the franchise companies to give you a better feel. But on a service-based, home-based franchise, between the franchise investment, working capital, the training, the travel to go back and forth to visit the franchise for Discovery Day and go for training, the amounts will definitely vary, but you can be at easily 100,000 or less. But that's considering all. That's 3 to 6 months working capital. There's going to be a big variable there because you may or may not need 2 or 3 employees. You may only need that 1 employee, but you'll notice that on a service-based business, or I should say on a retail business, you'll easily be double that amount considering the permits needed and the build out itself. So the investment is going to be one big differentiator, and wanting to make sure that funding is available specifically for that project. And you want to look at the total project. I know people tend to look at the franchise fee, but when looking at any franchise, you'll receive an item 7 in your franchise disclosure document, and it's going to itemize a low to high. And you're going to do research there. You're going to speak with the franchisor. You're going to speak with other franchisees, and you're going to speak with landlords in your market to see what kind of deal you can get, because the market is definitely going to dictate the amounts. If you're in a big city versus somewhere else, and negotiation. Maybe it's a landlord that you speak with one landlord and you're looking at to open up multiple locations. So there's maybe some more flexibility with the pricing or the length of the lease. Maybe another variable where if it's a longer lease, maybe they're able to come down on the price. So investment is one of the major differentiators between the two. Time frame, I think, is one of the conversations we tend to have around, because one thing that people kind of understand that the investment will be greater, but time frame to open is a big differentiator. And in a service-based business, again, no office needed, where you can run that from home. You're going to service the customers directly. So you may have a team of W-2 or 1099 contractors servicing a customer directly. And time frame to open, and depending on, again, the franchise, depending on if there's vehicles or equipment involved, you can look at a time frame after training. You could be open as little as 30 to 90 days. So 1 to 3 months. A coaching business may be up and running much quicker than just say a painting franchise, because that coaching business, once you're trained, you're off to the races. Whereas maybe a painting franchise, there's going to be vehicles. Sometimes the franchisor may have a fleet of vehicles to choose from and purchase. In other cases, you'll have specs to find something in your local area, get the vehicle wrapped, and then obviously equipment and starting inventory. So service-based businesses, 1 to 3 months. These are averages, folks. It's going to vary depending on the brand and your specific market and availability. And as far as retail, brick and mortar, I always go 6 to 12 months. These are just loose ranges, but you're going to have to factor in, still have to go to the same training as you would with any other franchise. But now you're looking at leases, negotiating with landlords, permits every step of the way, and depending on your state and the level of permits and inspections and things like that. So time frame is something to consider. Can I wait a year to open after signing the franchise agreement? Some people are comfortable with that. Some people are not. Something to think about and factor in when deciding on your franchise. And the last thing is, I like to talk about the topic of growth, and we'll start with retail. When you're looking at a retail franchise, obviously you have to staff. So you tend to have a higher number. You need to staff the location, again, depending on what that franchise is. But you also are going to have, when it comes to growth, you're going to hit capacity where you can only have so many people physically at that location, only so much production. You look at a restaurant and things like that can be produced from that specific location. So really, you're looking to, from a growth standpoint, looking to build out another location. Maybe it's a second location and get the team in place. Maybe in some cases, the general manager can manage both locations, but you'll have another team in place, equipment, build out, may have to wait. And these are things that, you plan ahead of time. So that, when you're maybe 6 months into the first location, you're looking at additional locations, but that is the way to scale those businesses typically. Whereas a service business, now you're territory based. And again, it may be a population, it may be a territory that has so many households with a certain income. So when you're looking at expanding in a service-based business, you're looking at another territory, preferably a territory that connects with your current business, your current territory, and you would expand that way. So it may be something where you invested in 2 or 3 territories and you're able to develop one a year or one every 6 months, again, depending on what the franchise agreement states. In many cases, from experience, what I've seen is that the franchisee will end up getting leads in all 3 territories, and they're able to develop or start developing, I should say, all 3 or all 2 territories all at once. So the beauty there is that when you're looking at kind of starting up with just say your employees, you're servicing the area. So just say you start out with two employees, really you're going to keep those 2 employees, whether you start with 1, 2, or 3 territories in many cases. Again, there may be some variables there, but typically with brands we work with, and as you scale, as they hit certain capacities, that's when you start adding employees. So it may be painting. Again, we'll go back to the painting franchise where you have someone doing sales and maybe someone doing the work, or someone in a restoration space where you have a technician and you have that development person going out there and picking up contracts. Those are, once they hit a certain capacity, just say 60, 70%, maybe you're adding in another salesperson, development person, another person actually doing the work, a technician. And I call it a barbell approach, if I can talk today, where you're balancing sales with, the people actually doing the work, the tech. So something to consider as well, where you can start off with that smaller team and expand as the demand is generated in that business. So just to reiterate and kind of summarize, investment, you're looking at significantly higher investment when it comes to brick and mortar retail. Time frame, 1 to 3 months on something on the service side, to closer to 6 to 12 months on a retail location. And scalability and growth, where to grow in a retail, you're looking at another location, another large investment as you need to put together that team. Whereas in the service space, you'll have capabilities starting with that smaller team and scaling with the demand. So I hope you found this helpful. Either one works. I wouldn't say there's pros and cons, but there are differences between service franchises and retail franchises. And I really appreciate this question and allowing me to review this today. So if you have any questions on today's topic, or if you'd like a specific question answered, depending how you're viewing this, leave a comment, send me an email or a message. If you're getting this via email, just simply respond. Go to the website, ggthefranchiseguide.com is the best place. You can book a call directly. You can ask me questions there. There's a chat function we just added. So looking forward to your feedback. Looking forward to your future questions. And again, thanks for everything. Looking forward to the next one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways Giuseppe can help. 1. If you've ever considered owning a business of any kind, you owe it to yourself to get a copy of Giuseppe's book, Franchise Freedom. Download your free copy at ggthefranchiseguide.com/book. 2. Want to understand how successful executives make the transition from corporate to owning their own franchise? Join Giuseppe's next online presentation, Franchise Freedom: How to Escape the Corporate World and Have Financial and Time Freedom by Owning a Franchise, by going to ggthefranchiseguide.com/video. 3. Want to work with Giuseppe one-on-one to identify the right franchise opportunity for you, to navigate the process, and get plugged into experienced franchising advisors? Send him an email to gg@ggthefranchiseguide.com with one-on-one in the subject, and he'll send you all the details.